Now I will explain the Ordos of the Inquisition. Now, as the Inquisition possesses neither formal hierarchy nor leadership, each Inquisitor is free to pursue the mission of humanity's survival in the manner he or she believes most appropriate. Like-minded fellows gather together to investigate areas of mutual interest or concern, as bounded by one of the many inquisitorial Ordos. Each Ordo waxes and wanes with the times, for many Inquisitors move freely between them according to where they judge the need to lie. The greater the level of demonic activity, the larger the Ordo Malleus becomes. In times of internal heresy, the Ordo Hereticus grows to match the threat. An Ordo can lie fallow for standard years, existing only as a historical curio until its field of study becomes relevant once more. Such is the nature of the galaxy, however, that some perils, specifically those posed by the demon, the xenos and the heretic, are ever present. Accordingly, the Ordos dedicated to combating them, the Ordo Malleus, the Ordo Xenos, and the Ordo Hereticus, are considered Ordos Majoris, for their vigil is never ending. Nevertheless, there are many scores of Ordos Minores as well, lesser branches dedicated to more transient dangers to humanity. Association with one of these orders is not a matter of absolute allegiance, for they are no more structured than is the Inquisition itself. Nor does it preclude an Inquisitor's involvement in matters pertaining to another Ordo. There is no formal demarcation, and Inquisitors investigate and act where they wish. Indeed, many of them would argue that to compartmentalize the foes of mankind would be a tragic error, for all too often, the lines between disciplines are fine to the point of non-existence. Just as a plague of mutation might originate from an alien infestation, a blossoming population of psychers might prove to be the vanguard of an imminent demonic incursion. Membership of an Ordo is a statement of interest, a field of study. If an Inquisitor declares themselves a part of the Ordo Malleus, their fellows will know that their sphere of endeavor encompasses matters demonic. They need seek no approval to do so, for an Inquisitor has no superiors, save those they choose to acknowledge. There are sometimes elements of hierarchy to be found within an Ordo, albeit nebulous and highly informal ones. As an Inquisitor grows more accomplished and learned, they garner esteem among their peers, and by common consent is graced with a title such as Grand Master. These are marks of respect rather than unconditional authority. Other Inquisitors may defer to a colleague's experience and reputation, but they are by no means required to do so. Even within an Ordo, fields of endeavor seldom overlap completely. Each branch, after all, encompasses an almost infinite potential for study and investigation. Even so, Inquisitors sometimes band together into a loose association called a conclave. Such corporation is assembled at the request of a respected Inquisitor, who seeks to pool the skills, knowledge and resources of their peers in order to oppose a threat too great for a single one of them to face. Like an org warg, a demonic incursion on a massive scale, or a plague of heresy. Most commonly, a conclave will call upon only a single Ordo. but it is far from unheard of for a conclave to include several branches of the Inquisition, if the situation requires it. You have been told of the Inquisition, that shadowy organization which defends mankind and the Emperor from the perils of heresy, possession, alien dominance, and rebellion. You have been told the Inquisition are the ultimate defense against the phantoms of fear and terror which lurk in the darkness between the stars. You have been told the Inquisition are the bright saviors in an eclipse of evil, purest and most devoted warriors of the Emperor. You have also been told the Inquisition is united in its cause to rid the galaxy of any threat from without or within. Everything you have been told is a lie, from an anonymous source. The Holy Orders of the Emperor's Inquisition, to give its formal title, is a massive organization that is, by its very nature, forced to interpret the divine will of the Emperor regardless of the particular ordo an agent of the Inquisition might be a member of. Such interpretations vary within and without the Ordos Majoris, and this leads to certain divisions. Such divisions are referred to as factions, highly political in nature and comprised of those individuals that share a common belief system regardless of the purpose and supposed desired methodology of the Inquisition, be it to combat the heretic, witch, demon, or alien. While such factions are multitudinous and subject to variation, both broad and infinitesimal, there are certain popular strands of belief that outweigh and enjoy dominance over others. It is from these credos that the political lattice of the Inquisition is formed and defined. Discord between Ordos or between conclaves is extremely rare, for each has its own clearly defined areas of interest. However, the same cannot be said for inquisitors within a particular ordo. The most frequent causes of disagreement center around the methods used to combat the enemies of mankind. Some inquisitors believe that the enemy can only be fought with their own weapons, such as by employing sorcery against demons. For others, such compromises of the tenets of the Imperial Creed are anathema, inviting corruption of the Ordo's work for questionable gain. Such disagreements are often presented as a conflict between radical and Puritan philosophies, but the truth is, as always, much more complex. The distinction between the two positions is not absolute, but relative, formed solely around the observer's subjective opinions. Few inquisitors consider themselves either radical or Puritan, though they are swift to label others as such. A member of the Ordo Malleus might be quick to decry a colleague as radical for using forbidden chaos law to bind a demon to their will, little recognizing that others of their ordo consider them just as dangerous for daring to consult a tome of blasphemous law, even though they have no intention of employing the knowledge contained within. For some members of the Ordo Xenos, even learning an alien language is considered dangerous, whilst others think nothing of hiring regiments of Xenos mercenaries to fight their wars. In the Inquisition, truth is often relative. The nature of the Inquisition means that there can be no appeal to a higher power when an Inquisitor believes that one of their fellows has strayed irrevocably from the proper path. Perhaps, if enough evidence can be gathered, it can be presented before a conclave and a judgment of excommunicate traitoris be sought. More commonly, an inquisitor is left to take matters into their own hands. Given the shaded distinctions between needless and necessary evils, few inquisitors willingly involve themselves in a quarrel between their fellows. Every disagreement has the prospect of sowing division throughout the organization, and it is better for all if these matters can be kept at the level of a personal quarrel. Most of the time, such disagreements burn themselves out or are superseded by genuine threats. But sometimes, they do descend into outright conflict between the two inquisitors and their various acolytes and agents. The ideological struggle between radical and Puritan is not a battle between right and wrong, for such facile definitions seldom apply to an inquisitor's work. Radical methods can serve as a salvation for millions, just as the close-mindedness of Puritans can doom them. Alas, there is no way to see the outcome until it has occurred. An inquisitor can read from the tome of chaos sorcery called the Grimoire Malefact, and can use its knowledge to close a warp rift, but in so doing, they risk opening their soul to chaos and becoming the very thing they most fear. Those of a Puritan mindset insist such risks are reckless and unnecessary, and would seek other methods to close the warp rift, even if the delay doomed a dozen worlds. In this case, the radical methodology would appear to be the correct one. But what if, by opening their mind to the warp, the reader of the Grimoire Malefact is later possessed by a demon who wreaks more damage than the rift ever would have? It is little wonder that most inquisitors cleave to a single certainty of belief, for to doubt one's actions is to be cast adrift on a sea of possibility, frozen to inaction for fear of charting the wrong course.